responsibility to combat racism. President Trump is heading to a rally in Tennessee for a Republican candidate. Trump will speak at a campaign rally in Nashville and a fundraiser tonight for U.S. Senate candidate Marsha Blackburn. Representative Blackburn is running for the Senate seat vacated by Bob Corker. Howard County Police say a National Guardsman who went missing following Sunday's flood in Ellicott City, Maryland, is dead.
Searchers found the body of 39-year-old Edison Herman Tuesday afternoon in the Patapsco River just across the Baltimore County line. Herman was reportedly trying to help a woman when he was swept away. No others have been reported missing. Tom Roberts, NBC News Radio.
A top North Korean official is on his way to New York to work out details for a possible meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. Trump tweeted this morning that Kim Young-chol, the vice chairman of North Korea, will be in the U.S. to discuss the summit. Trump said that there had been a solid response to his letter last week when he abruptly canceled a planned June 12th meeting in Singapore, which is apparently back on. The Dow was down more than 500 points, but rallied to close today at 24,361. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Hi, this is Jonathan Friedman. You might know me as the host of Talking Sports on WCTC, but I do have a day job. I'm the Business Development Director at SCG Advertising and Public Relations in Parsippany, and I'd like to tell you about how SCG can help advertisers reach their potential customers in today's fast-paced, technology-driven world. There are so many apps from all the traditional media
I'm so loud. What do they say? Tell him to shut up over there.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
She can't do the accounting with me in the background.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So, most people coach though anyway, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, we got that big Patriot fan calling last week.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if he wanted the tickets, if that's why he did it.
He did like tickets.
Oh, he did? Did you write his name down?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I gotta take care of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, but he's a regular, he gets a lot of time anyway.
Yeah, he goes every game anyway.
Simply cannot afford the thousands of dollars needed to pay for it. I made it my mission to find a way to manufacture medical-grade, affordable hearing aids. Working with other doctors and audiologists, we developed the MD Hearing Aid Air, which costs up to 90% less than traditional hearing aids.
See how the MD Hearing Aid Air can help you once again enjoy conversations, even in noisy places. Call 1-800-409-9153 to speak with one of their trained specialists. Reconnect with your life.
Amy, you ready to get to work?
Affordable quality hearing solutions at a fraction of the cost of custom hearing aids. Right now, take advantage of their exclusive 45-day risk-free trial and get free shipping and a year's worth of free batteries, a $50 value. Call MD Hearing Aid at 1-800-409-9153.
Johnny it is.
Satisfaction guaranteed. That's 1-800-409-9153.
WCTCAM.com is where you'll find terrific savings and also...
What do I say every week? Don't forget the mic.
Our legendary 50% off dining program, where that's right, you save half off at some of the best restaurants in all of central New Jersey. We've got a buffet, a variety of great restaurant selections that we have for you. In Bridgewater, Outpost Barbecue, closest thing you're going to find to authentic Southern barbecue around these parts, as they say. New Brunswick, 21 years of Harvest Moon, high-quality handcrafted beers. Bam Desserts in Somerset, the most outrageously delicious sweet treats in all of Central Jersey. Authentic Italian fare at Mama Rosina's restaurant in Boundbrook. How about Wonder Bar in Reddington? Or the Tilton Kilt in Metuchen, great place for food and more. Get to our website, WCTCAM.com. Have your credit card handy, click the link for dining deals, and dine at 50% off at one or all of the great restaurants that we have available for you this week. You'll find it all at WCTCAM.com.
Checking WCTC traffic in the 6 o'clock hour. Problems on the Parkway in both directions.
Oh boy. A stall on the Parkway.
44. Now a crash in Maplewood on the Parkway south and at 143, 287 south. I'm stalled at exit 7 to the Turnpike. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation inviting you to take steps for cures to walk that near you. Get started now at cctakesteps.org. Sunny skies, 88 degrees. Susie Cerrone, WCTC traffic update.
Now the 1450 WCTC forecast. As we head into this evening, we'll stay on the partly cloudy side and dry, lows in the middle and upper 60s. Toward Wednesday morning, though, fog and areas of drizzle will develop. It'll dry out in the afternoon with partly sunny skies. High. Wednesday night, we go mostly cloudy. cloudy skies again. A return for some scattered showers after midnight. Lows back in the 60s. I'm Michael Prianti on 1450 WCTC.
This program are solely the opinions of the host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily represent the views of the advertisers, management, staff, or ownership of WCTC.
This is WCTC's Sound Advice, the local one-hour program designed to give you the knowledge, information, and guidance to help you make better decisions in your personal and professional lives. Now, WCTC's Sound Advice.
Time now for Talking Sports. Here's your host, Jonathan Friedman.
Good evening, Central Jersey. It's Tuesday, and we're talking sports right here on the voice of Central Jersey, Talk Radio 1450 WCTC. I'm John Friedman. Dave Race is on the other side of the glass. That's the voice you hear when you call the show. Dave, what's happening?
I'm annoyed that somehow, some way, we got Cavaliers, Warriors again.
So annoying. Lots to talk about in the next hour. You bring it, we'll talk about it. Give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-9282. That's 732-545-WCTC Ocean.edu. Also, we're streaming the show. Go to WCTCAM.com. Click on that red button and you'll get us on your mobile device, laptop, etc. And enjoy the show on the World Wide Web. Lots to cover in the next hour, including after the Boston Celtics and Houston Rockets teased us that there could be an upset, the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers will meet by the Bay in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The expansion Golden Knights of Las Vegas are only 3 wins away from a Stanley Cup. I'll update you. The Star Ledger's weekly varsity high school lacrosse top 10 is out for this week. I'll share that with you. They're underway at Roland Garros Stadium in Paris. We'll update you on the French Open. Mark Schwartz will fill us in later on the successful weekend of the over Long Island, over the Ducks in Long Island, as the Patriots took 2 out of 3 from them. He'll join the show in just a little bit. Look around the major leagues, other sports news, your calls, and a lot more. And speaking of calls, give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-9282. That's 732-545-WCTC Ocean.edu. Also, you can get us streaming the show visually on YouTube. If you type in Talking Sports with Jonathan Friedman, you'll see a red button somewhere along up there somewhere. You click on it, you'll get me live there. Or you can get us on Facebook. If you friend Jonathan Friedman, I'll quickly accept that friendship, and you can get us live visually on Facebook also. You can get me on Twitter. Follow the show on Twitter at John Talking Sports, and you can follow me there on Twitter. So we'll start the night off to kind of recap the NBA conference finals, and I got to tell you, I got more than egg on my face, because I truly thought that when Boston went up 3-2, that somehow, some way, they were going to find a way to close out the Cavaliers in 6. And they did what every road team in that series had done so far. They had put up a stinker. And what they did also is you let the King back into the series. And you weren't going to beat the King in a Game 7. Now, I have a lot of egg on my face on the whole LeBron. You know, I got to tell you, I heard Burt Barron this morning on the morning show talking about this. And you are witnessing a guy who, what is this, Dave? His 10th straight finals? What is this? 8th straight finals. You know, that stuff is, it doesn't matter what era you play in. If you're doing that stuff, and I got to tell you, and I'm not a player personnel guy in basketball, but this is, from a player personnel standpoint, this is probably the worst Cleveland team we've seen in regards to everybody except LeBron, and that's how much he put them on their shoulders. Do I think Boston could have done a better job in trying to shut him down and use every foul possible and make it a physical series? I do. But, listen, in a Game 7, and if you notice, and we're going to talk about the Golden State-Houston game last night, if you noticed in both games at about the 6-minute mark in the fourth is when both of those winning road teams took over the game. I don't know if you noticed that, but they both had the same kind of feel that game, and they all of a sudden, here comes Oklahoma, and all of a sudden, here came the Cavaliers. And, made a few back-to-back shots, and then the other team was going down and clanking it on the other side because they're feeling that pressure. And I told you, Houston they're still a player away. So, listen, they took them to goal, and Golden State is absolutely an incredible team. When I saw in game, I guess it wasn't Game 7, game 6, late in the game, Harden's dribbling the ball on top. Everybody is standing around and stuff. You're not going to win that way. If you notice at all times, because he doesn't have the whole team yet. And don't forget the Chris Paul injury. You talk about a bummer. It may have been a different series if Chris Paul didn't get hurt. And he was so hurt that he couldn't even go in 7. I tore my hamstring a few years ago. And let me tell you something. When you have strained hamstrings or hamstring issues, you got no push. And, and it changed the series. You feel bad for them. So hopefully Chris Paul, who I believe is a free agent, will re-sign with Houston. They're going to be around. They're a few players away. Golden State is saying, whew, we got by there, and give them a lot of credit. Houston went up 3-2, and they had to win 2 to win the series. So that's not an easy thing to do. And if you're a Boston Celtics fan, let me tell you, you've got some years ahead of you that are just looking. Think about it. 2 of your 5 starting lineup guys with Irving and the guy they brought in from Utah. That's 2 of them. Never. Irving played. The guy from Utah never played. Irving got hurt, and look how far you went. That team is young. They're athletic. This Tatum guy was the go-to guy at 20 years old and has a lot of poise. He's lanky. He is going to be. That's why I'm asking myself with Philadelphia. Could you imagine if they had kept that pick and that they drafted him, Dave? What team would have been like? That's crazy. So anyway, so Boston's looking good for the next few years, and I personally I'd like to see them get one quick, only because Al Horford now he's going to go into now his 13th season, and they signed him to win a championship, and they sent him to a lot of money. So we'll take a look, and now now you're gonna have Golden State and Cleveland, and I can't player personnel to player personnel versus each other. It's not even close in regards to the talent level on each team, but Cleveland's got the king, and I can't go against the king anymore. Every time I go against the king, it comes back and bites me. He gets me every time, that guy. And my only defense with him was he can't shoot free throws. Well, he did a pretty good job of shooting free throws. And matter of fact, played the whole game the other day. I mean, you talk about a guy who's given it all, and it's going to be interesting to see whether they win this series, they don't win the series, if he stays in Cleveland. And by the way, if he doesn't stay in Cleveland, worst case scenario, he doesn't stay in Cleveland. If you're a Cleveland fan, he came back, he won you a championship, he's taken you to 3 straight championships. It's going to be real interesting because, yeah, he didn't handle the first time right, but he did come back, and he made a promise to you, and he came through. So that's a look at basketball. So I believe that's going to start Thursday night. The Warriors go 1 and 2 will be in Oakland. And then they'll go back to Cleveland. So I'm just hoping at this point it's a good series. I don't want to see a 5-game series or a 4-game series. That I don't want to do. Give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-9282. That's 732-545-WCTC, ocean.edu. And we move over to hockey. And, I brought up something on WMTR on Thursday night. I discussed it, and kudos to the Washington Capitals. They're down 0-1 to Las Vegas, and we'll talk about that. But, you know, everybody said to themselves, you know, hey, they finally got by the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have finally done it. They have finally got by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Was that the issue, or was it facing Marc-Andre Fleury? That's what I want to know. Was that the issue? And right now, it's still the issue as far as I'm concerned. You know, he didn't allow as many goals as the Eric goaltender did. So, you know, that's the issue. And, you know, there could be a mental thing there also. Listen, it's game one. They're feeling each other out. I totally expect that series to go 7. But I'm still amazed that that Las Vegas did this. I just still amazed, and great for hockey that they've got Washington, they've got the superstar in Ovechkin, they've got this intriguing team in Las Vegas, first time ever trying to win a Stanley Cup as an expansion team. St. Louis, by the way, also went to the Stanley Cup in 1967 as an expansion team and lost in the final. So Las Vegas is trying to do this for the first time, so it should be really interesting. So a lot of intrigue, and, you know, keep in mind, I don't know how many games are on NBC. Matter of fact, Game 7 of Tampa Bay and Nashville, I keep doing that. Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay and Washington was on one of the NBC quasi channels, and I was a little surprised NBC didn't put it on the network. But then somebody told me it was The Voice that night, so they're going to go with The Voice and the ratings. But rather interesting. And getting back, by the way, to the basketball in the Eastern Conference with Boston and Cleveland, I just forgot to mention it. You know, the guy who really came through for Cleveland was Jeff Green. Jeff Green, which is I never understood this. Jeff Green, early in his career, don't forget, he was a big scorer with the Oklahoma Thunder, and eventually they needed a little toughness, Oklahoma. Boston needed a little scoring. He was shipped to Boston, and he just kind of fell apart after that, whatever. But he's helping Cleveland. All right, you're listening to Talking Sports on a Tuesday with me, John Friedman. Give me a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-WCTC. Mark Schwartz of the Patriots, he's the play-by-play guy. He'll join us right after this. I thought it was 20. Isn't it 20?
It's supposed to be 18.
Oh, it's 18. Is this clock right? Maybe this clock isn't right.
Back at 20, about.
I do have a day job. I'm the
All right, whatever. I don't care. When I looked on my sheet here and I looked at 20, I timed it that way. I didn't lose anything. Fine.
18, 30, 48.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
I lost a lens just now.
There are so many options from all the traditional media to the
Oh, you're right.
limitless digital
You're right.
social platforms
You're right.
that are available, making it harder than ever for businesses to get their message in front of the right audience. Well, at SCG, we help our clients strengthen their relationships, reputations, and brands by integrating their message across the entire media spectrum. We understand the options available to advertisers, and we will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. So learn more about SCG advertising and public relations by visiting scgadv.com. That's scgadv.com. We'll help you reach your potential customers all.
As an individual investor, you may have thought sophisticated investment management was only for the wealthy. Not anymore. Zacks Advantage is the actively managed, performance-driven, automated online investment advisory service that builds, monitors, and rebalances your portfolio so you don't have to. Now for a limited time, with fees up to 75% lower than traditional advisors and a minimum investment of just $5,000, you can take advantage
CBS
of
glasses are a piece of shit. I lost a lens.
Call 1-888-746-1770 today to speak with an advisor. Right now, you can save 30% off our already low fees for the life of your account. Low fees, low minimums, and 30 years of experience. That's the Zacks Advantage. Call 1-888-746-1770.
Oh, I screwed that up.
There's no guarantee of future results. Potential for loss exists with any investment. Material is for informational purposes only. It is not investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. No advice is given about a strategy suitability for a particular investor. For additional information, go to ZacksAdvantage.com. Call 1-888-746-1770.
WCTC traffic out there.
148 down to 143 in Maplewood with an accident. Stalin the Parkway northbound at 142 in the right lane. Then a northbound accident at 144, 287 south at his solid exit 7 to the turnpike. If you're dealing Dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving and find a community with experts to help. Right now in New Brunswick, sunny skies, 88 degrees. Susie Cerrone, WCTC traffic update.
Now the 1450 WCTC forecast. This evening, we'll see partly cloudy skies and staying on the dry side for the most part, lows in the mid-upper 60s. Toward Wednesday morning, we'll see patchy fog and some areas of drizzle. That'll dry out by the afternoon with some sun, high reach 80. And then a returning shower can't be ruled out after midnight here with mostly cloudy skies, lows back in the 60s. I'm meteorologist Michael Brianti on 1450 WCTC.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Tuesday. Give me a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-9282. That's 732-545-WCTC. We're the voice of Central Jersey. All right, joining me on the Ocean County College call-in line in his weekly segment, Mark Schwartz, who gives you the play-by-play of the Somerset Patriots after a weekend where they took 2 out of 3 from the Long Island Ducks. Mark is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Mark, what's happening?
Not much, John. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day in New Jersey today.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's beautiful over here in Pennsylvania as well. I decided to wear a long-sleeve shirt today. Why? I don't know.
Go buy a T-shirt from the concession stand.
Well, I can't wear a Barnstormers T-shirt.
Ah, that's right. That's funny. That's hilarious. I forgot that you're on the road and that maybe they don't have any Patriot ones in there.
No, you know what? We do carry other teams.
Yeah.
Team store.
I don't
know. I haven't checked.
It's about revenue. Come on.
That's right. You're right.
What's happening? Tell me about this weekend. I know you took 2 out of 3. I caught the end of the game on Sunday, and literally you were in your post game. And I'm just waiting to hear what happened Saturday. And then you said we took 2 out of 3. So I knew you had a good weekend.
Yeah, no, it was a good overall weekend, John. It was a big weekend as well. I mean, going in, the Patriots needed to take 1 of 3 so they could make sure they had the first half tiebreaker over the Ducks. That's exactly what they did. Friday night was an absolutely superb pitching performance from Corey Reardon. He went 8 innings. He only needed 81 pitches to throw 8 innings, faced just 2 over minimum, and completely shut down a very potent Ducks offense. And then the Patriots, Brian Kelly locked down the save, former Atlanta Brave.
Yeah.
Locked down the save in the 9th inning. So the Patriots took Friday night 2-1. At the point, that clinched them the first half tiebreaker over the Ducks. And then all they did the next day was just absolutely destroy Long Island. 10-0 victory Saturday night. And it was just a complete effort from top to bottom. Patriots 10 runs on 14 hits. The Ducks no runs on 3 hits.
Wow.
And it was actually a former Long Island native, David Kubiak, who was making his first start of the season for the Patriots. And, you know, in his debut for the year, he went 5 scoreless, allowing just 3 hits, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. So the whole team was performing on all cylinders.
That's great.
Friday and Saturday.
And remind the audience why it was important to get that first half.
Well, so, you know, it's important for a couple of different reasons. One, if you win the first half, well, you get the tiebreaker. You know, the Ducks and the Patriots always go back and forth. Their all-time series is separated now by just 2 games, which is remarkable.
Crazy.
But, you know, if you get the tiebreaker, that means at the end of the first half, if the Patriots and the Ducks are close in the standings, it gives Somerset a little bit more breathing room. And if they could win the first half championship, then one, it locks them in for the playoffs. So they know throughout the entire second half of the year, they already have a playoff spot locked up, which is important from a team's perspective. But from a front office perspective, and John, you'll appreciate this, from a sales perspective,
yes,
it is very important for the front office to know, hey, you know, we know when we're going to be playing in the playoffs. We now have 3 months to sell this game, to get sponsors, to get groups, to sell individual tickets, to promote it. It's massively important from a front office perspective to know that you're going to be in the playoffs 3 months in advance, because then there's just so much more planning that can go into it.
On a Friday night, too.
That's right. Last year, we set an Atlantic League postseason record for the largest postseason game attended in league history. It was 8,131 fans at that Friday night Game 3 over at TD Bank Ballpark last year. And we would hope, if the Patriots clinch the first half, that we'd be able to replicate that success again.
You know, the Patriots have done, you know, they've been around, what, now 20 years? They've done Long Island, too, has done an unbelievable job marketing themselves. And, you know, it's hanging with it and sticking with it, and they've established themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And, helps the Patriots market. It's really tremendous sales demographics. I mean, some of the counties that we're pulling from are some of the most affluent counties, not only in the state, but in the entire country.
That's great.
Just 60% of our demographics come from Hunterdon County, it comes from Somerset County, and it comes from Morris County. And
that's great.
The top 10 wealthiest counties in the country. There's no other minor league baseball team that can compare to the Patriots demographic.
And so easy to get to. You just hop on 287 from most places. I mean, it's just
yes, sir. You know it.
It's so easy. So tell me about Lancaster. What's happening? What you look for in this series?
Well, this is a big series because the Lancaster Barnstormers are first place in the Freedom Division, so it's a matchup of two first-place teams. The Patriots are 17-8 on the year. The Barnstormers are 18-8. And the Barnstormers' calling card all season long has been their offense, and it's been their speed. They've got two guys that are two of the fastest guys in the entire league, in Darian Sanford and Rico Noel, a former New York Yankee, briefly in 2015.
I love that name. That's a great name.
Oh, it's a fantastic name. This team blows every other team out of the water in terms of stolen bases. Right now, they're on a pace to set an Atlantic League record for single-season stolen bases. But this Barnstormers lineup, they've been so potent over the entire year, but more recently, they've been struggling. They only have 4 runs scored over their last 40 innings. So, the key for the Patriots will be to capitalize on the Barnstormers lineup struggling and try to continue that trend through this weekend series. But this Barnstormers team, they're very dangerous, and in this ballpark that plays as a bandbox, any fly ball, specifically to right field, has an opportunity to get out. And games here have a tendency of being pretty high scoring, and that's sort of what I'm anticipating going into this set.
You know, this is a silly guess here. Do they have in the audio in that stadium to get people going and stuff? Do they have like one of those loud trains that they do they have that by any chance?
No,
okay.
They've got some weird sort of audio sponsorship, but not a train.
Okay. All right. So listen, Mark, we'll get you next where are you next Tuesday? I think you're home, right?
Yeah, next Tuesday we're back home against the Skeeters.
You know what I'm going to do after the show? You'll come on next week, but after the show, I might just stop by and catch an inning or two. That's what I think I may do.
Hey, you're more than welcome to anytime, John.
You think you could get me a press pass?
Yeah, 100%.
You got it. All right, Mark, have a great few days there in Lancaster, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good, John.
You got it. All right, that's Mark Schwartz. He's the play-by-play guy of the Somerset Patriots, who this weekend wrapped up the first half in the Atlantic League in their division, and they are guaranteed a home playoff game later in the year. They separate the season by a half, so they won that first half. That's big, and as he talked about, promotion-wise, it's big. So anyway, I just wanted to quickly, before we go to the break, we got a minute and a half or so. So anyway, we'll see if Pittsburgh can get by Marc-Andre Fleury, and if that has anything to do with it. And no matter what, if Pittsburgh, if Washington, by the way, if they win this series, it just is still a great thing for Nashville. So I gotta believe a lot of people are rooting Nashville. I keep doing that for Las Vegas, but they've already established a fan base, and I think that is amazing going forward, because that's the hardest thing you got to do, especially as an expansion team. And now you've got national fans. Obviously, you got your local fans. You've already got winning as a tradition. And you know how many teams would like to be in that position? I can name all these NHL teams that aren't even close. So, and by the way, they had to still make it work. Even the draft changed and all that. Las Vegas still had to put it together, coaching, GM, the whole thing. Crazy. It's all good stuff. So when we get back, we'll go over other stuff. We'll look at Major League Baseball. We'll take a look at, I want to give you the worst and best expansion teams later in the show also, by the way. I found that out. We'll tell you the New Jersey boys varsity lacrosse top 10 this week. You're listening to Talking Sports on a Tuesday with me, John Friedman, on the voice of Central Jersey, 1450 WCTC. Give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-WCTC. Dave's behind the glass. I'm John Friedman. We'll be right back. You know, I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I just want you to know that.
Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not, it will be towed away for free. You'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a non-profit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-407-4143. Donating is easy and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-407-4143. That's 1-800-407-4143.
Boom, boom. NBC News, I'm John Friedman.
ABC is canceling the hit comedy Roseanne.
What a... She is such a dummy. Those guys are all out of work now. Oh, she must be... They're probably crank calling her, you suck!
Tone does start at the top, and we like to
Stupid.
look to our president and feel as though he reflects the values of our country. But I also think every individual citizen has a responsibility too.
The nation's largest banks are pulling stock sharply lower in a volatile day of trading on Wall Street. The Dow was down more than 500 points at one time, to close the day 392 points lower. President Trump is wrapping up his attacks on Special Counsel Robert Mueller. In a tweet today, Trump predicts the Special Counsel's team will be meddling in the fall midterm elections in order to hurt Republican candidates. A top North Korean official is on his way to the U.S. to firm up plans for an upcoming summit involving President Trump and Kim Jong-un. Tom Roberts.
Kim Jong-un.
When something is this good,
every day this gets better.
Rich Eisen is here.
I'm Rich Eisen,
and I have my own show.
The Rich Eisen Show. You want NFL talk?
He is like the Rain Man of football.
Check. You want celebs in studio?
Jonathan Tucker and good buddy Paul Rudd.
Bam. You want a swift kick in the head? Got carried away. The Rich Eisen
You want a swift kick in the head?
Weekdays at noon on 1450 WCTC.
As an individual investor, you may have thought sophisticated investment management was only for the wealthy. Not anymore. Zacks Advantage is the automated investment advisory service that builds, monitors, and rebalances your portfolio so you don't have to. Now for a limited time, with fees up to 75% lower than traditional advisors and a minimum investment of just $5,000, you can take advantage of Zacks' 30 years of investment management experience. Call 1-888-746-1770 today to speak with an advisor. Right now, you can save 30% off our already low fees for the life of your account. Low fees, low minimums, and 30 years of experience. That's the Zacks Advantage. Call 1-888-746-1770. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Potential for loss exists with any investment. Material is for informational purposes only. It is not investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. No advice is given about a strategy's suitability for a particular investor. For additional information, go to ZacksAdvantage.com. Call 1-888-746-1770.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count.
Have a Coke and a smile.
Go to Vistaprint.com today, and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 1919 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 1919.
Checking WCTC traffic, a crash on the Parkway south at 143 in Maplewood. You're backed up to 148. Stall on the Parkway northbound at 142 in the right lane. Accident being cleared
That's
on
in
the
Belleville.
northbound at 144. 287 southbound slam now from exit 8 into the turnpike. Food, water, education, and more is what
Not heading north on 287, it's not.
Property at compassion.com/radio. Sunny at 87. Susie Saru, WCTC traffic update.
Now the 1450 WCTC forecast. Partly cloudy skies going into this evening. We'll have lows around 65 to 70. It stays dry through most of the evening, but by Wednesday morning, watch for some fog and areas of drizzle. Clearing out in the afternoon, partly sunny skies, highs approach 80, and then a return for some scattered showers after midnight.
You going to 48?
Back in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Michael Prianti on 1450 WCTC.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Tuesday on the voice of Central Jersey. Talk Radio 1450 WCTC. Give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line. It's 732-545-9282. That's 732-545 WCTC. Ocean.edu. All right, just want to remind you that I guess this is the second major in tennis, I believe, this season. They're underway at the French Open at the Roland Garros Stadium. And by the way, this is going to be a stupid question, Dave. Is that on grass or is that clay? Clay, that's what I thought. Okay, so I wanted to just give you the top contenders in the men and in the women. I'll give you, there's only 6 in each column here. And if I mess up a name, you can let me know. And I very well, probably a good chance I will. All right. Number 1 is obviously is the great Rafael Nadal. He's unbelievable. Number 3 ranked guy is Alexander Zverev. Did I say that right? I may have said that right. The 4th ranked guy is Marin Cilic. I believe that's how you say that. He's from Croatia. And the 8th ranked guy that they're looking to make some noise is Dominic Thiem, and a guy, 27-year-old Belgium, ranked 9th in the world, David Goffin, and obviously the 31-year-old from Serbia is Novak. How do you say his last name? I can never pronounce his name. Djokovic. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. Tongue twister. In the women, you've got, I believe she won today. Serena Williams is back and doing her thing. She's amazing. She's 36 years old, and she's still doing it at the level she is amazing. You've got Simona Halep. I don't know if I said that one name correctly. Then you got Carbine Muguruza, followed by Alina Svitolina, I believe, and obviously you have Maria Sharapova. So the only thing is I like tennis, but I'm a McEnroe Borg generation, and tennis today, even though they've got some good players, they've got no flair whatsoever. I mean, they have about as less interest as they've ever had in so long. Now, the one tournament I'll watch is, and I went to a U.S. Open a few years ago. I really enjoyed it. If you go to the early rounds of the U.S. Open, it's a lot of fun. But that does well, and your majors do well. It just doesn't grab the headlines. You gotta go. They gotta get a McEnroe type of guy. They gotta get some nastiness, some guy everybody wants to hate because it brings ratings. And and McEnroe, he would, through all his antics, he would intimidate you. I mean, he as the other player, he would intimidate you. So anyway, that's the French Open. It'll be going all the way, I believe, to about June 10th or so. So, all right, let's take a look at the Star Ledger's New Jersey boys varsity top 10 lacrosse teams this week. Coming in at number 10 is Chatham, followed by number 9, Westfield. Those two teams in lacrosse are always there. Followed by number 8, Christian Brothers. Number 7, Watchung Hills. Number 6 is Northern Highlands. Number 5 is Manasquan. Number 4 is Mountain Lakes. Number 3 is the Seton Hall Prep Junior Pirates. Followed by number 2, Summit. And number 1 is Del Barton. I got to tell you, I'm looking at these names. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those teams in the top 10 are Northern New Jersey schools. I don't know, coincidence, whatever, but they're Northern New Jersey schools. It's interesting. I don't know if you noticed that. How about this? For the first time in the Yale Bulldogs history, they took home the title for the lacrosse tournament this weekend, which was in Foxborough in New England. They beat Duke in the championship. And anytime an Ivy League school wins a championship, and I don't care, it's impressive. It's impressive. They seem to do well always, Ivy League schools in lacrosse, in hockey. Matter of fact, the Harvard girls softball team I know was just in Athens, Georgia recently playing. So that I know. So Harvard's got some good sports. Ivy League has good sports. But when they win a national championship, then that's just really impressive, because their pool of players is a lot smaller than the other, a state school. So kudos to them. And Duke would have the same thing, because it's hard to get into Duke. So cool there. And even little Albany, that little college up in Albany, New York, they were in the Final Four. So that's great. I mean, it's just wonderful. That's so good for college sports when a little team, a little college does what they do. That's like when Brad Stevens took, I guess it was Butler, to 2 Final Fours back-to-back for a mid-major. That's just amazing. And also, if you may see on ESPN now, this is a great time for college baseball. You've got college women's softball tournament, which is fabulous. That's just a fabulous tournament. And you've also got college baseball tournaments on their way eventually to Omaha. Does it start in Omaha? All 8 teams start in Omaha? I'm not sure if they start there. All 8 teams go to Omaha, and that's the tournament? Yeah. Okay, so they're all in Omaha. So that's great. So anyway, that's good baseball, too, and there's an example where you can get a mid-major can win that. Just a few years ago, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, they won the national championship in college baseball. So that can definitely happen. There's no doubt about that. And so anyway, give us a call on the Ocean County College call-in line. Matter of fact, at the 3rd caller now at this time of the show, if you give me a call at 732-545-WCTC, I'll get you some Somerset family 4-pack of Somerset Patriot baseball. And you heard this weekend from Mark Schwartz, their play-by-play guy, that successful weekend. They've won the first half of the Atlantic League, and that's just great. And they can already go, as he said, from a marketing standpoint, can go ahead and start planning for that date. And I hope I can get out to that. I'm going to try to get out there next week to a game, especially if they're home, and they are. And I'd love to get to a playoff game. That would just be a lot of fun. All right. When we come back, I want to go over. We had some time. I wanted to go over here expansion teams. If I can just find where this was. There was I put together, we did this at the sister station at WMTR on Thursday night, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I just didn't have it for that show. If I could just find my notes on there. It was kind of interesting things of the best expansion franchises of all time in their initial years and the worst. And if I could just find where I put that thing, because there were a lot of interesting things. For example, the worst expansion hockey team ever happens to be the Washington Capitals. The year they came in, which I believe was 73. If I could find that darn note, I would be able to tell you. So that they were the worst. The best was the I want to say, here we go. Is this it? Okay, here we go. I got it now. Okay, so we'll take a look here. The best expansion hockey team before Las Vegas was the 93-94 Florida Panthers. They were 33-34-17 with 83 points. Not too bad for an expansion hockey team. And that just shows you how great the Knights are. The worst was the Washington Capitals in 74-75. They were, listen to this record. They were 8-67-5 with 21 points. Oh, gosh. In Major League Baseball, the best expansion team ever was the 1961 Los Angeles Angels. They were 70-91, 21 games under 500. That was the best one. The worst was the lovable 1962 New York Mets at 40-120. July and August that summer just must have been miserable. In the NBA, the best expansion team ever in the NBA was the 1966-67 Chicago Bulls with a record of 33-48. And the worst NBA team, which is no longer in Vancouver, is now the Memphis Grizzlies. But in Vancouver in 95-96, they went 15-67. But I got to tell you, there were a few teams in the NBA this year that went 15 that were not expansion teams. The best NFL team ever in 1995 with a record of 7-9 was the Carolina Panthers. And the worst record was and we had this at a trivia at the sister station and I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. It was they were kind of lovable too. They were so bad. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 1976 was 0-14 and then followed the next season up to start the season at 0-12. But by the way, they've won a Super Bowl already. So how about that? And then my favorite quote was their coach back in their expansion years was John McKay when a reporter asked him, Coach, what do you think of your team's execution? He says, I think it's a good idea. Well, I laugh every time I see that. So that's a look at the best and worst expansion teams of all time. It is so hard to win in sports. At the professional level, it's incredibly hard to win. And when you see what this may never happen again. And not to say that it may not happen, by the way. That's how hard it is. It may not happen that they win the Stanley Cup because that's just how hard it is. But everybody, it seems like everybody's rooting for him, and it's just an amazing story that you're able to do that. Yes, they changed the draft, and they made a lot of changes that would make an expansion team possibly better. You still got to have a GM that has a vision and a plan. You got to have a coach that has that same vision and a plan. And you've got to be able to look forward and draft the guys that are appropriate for that team. And luckily, because of new rules and expansion and that you can't hold on to all your good players, they were able to get a Marc-Andre Fleury. And that's like getting in that day a Martin Brodeur that the Devils couldn't protect or something. He's a darn good goalie. He won the last 2 Stanley Cups. So that's enough said there. So just an amazing thing. And most expansion teams just, it's just very hard to, and it's funny. Most expansion teams, by the time they get obviously good, and it could be 5 years, could be whatever, none of those players who they took in the expansion draft and players that they got in free agency, they were not a part of that team. That's how hard it is, the transition that you have to go through when you're an expansion team. All right, when we get back, we're going to take a look at Major League Baseball. That DeGrom, that guy cannot catch a break. He pitched beautifully in Atlanta yesterday and couldn't get the win. All right, you're listening to Talking Sports on a Tuesday with me, John Friedman. Give me a call on the Ocean County College call-in line at 732-545-9282. We're going to check the roads. We're going to check the weather. I'm John Friedman. Dave races behind the glass. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jonathan Friedman. You might know me as the host of Talking Sports on WCTC, but I do have a day job. I'm the Business Development Director at SCG Advertising and Public Relations in Parsippany, and I'd like to tell you about how SCG can help advertisers reach their potential customers in today's fast-paced, technology-driven world. There are so many options, from all the traditional media to the practically limitless digital and social platforms that are available, making it harder than ever for businesses to get their message in front of the right audience. Well, at SCG, we help our clients strengthen their relationships, reputations, and brand by integrating their message across the entire media spectrum. We understand the options available to advertisers, and we will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. So learn more about SCG Advertising and Public Relations by visiting scgadv.com. That's scgadv.com. We'll help you reach your potential customers.
All of them.
Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800
Oh, a cramp in my hamstring. Ow. Oh.
Checking WCTC traffic on the Parkway South and it's solid 148 down to 143 in Maplewood, but the accident's been cleared. Still cleaning up 2 problems on the Parkway northbound, one at 142, one at 144. Outer Bridge Crossing, Staten Island bound, an accident has all lanes blocked. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation inviting you to take steps for cures at a walk event near you. Get started now at cctakesteps.org. Sunny at 87. Susie Sarin, WCTC traffic update.
Now the 1450 WCTC forecast. As we head into this evening, we'll stay on the partly cloudy side and dry, lows in the middle of upper 60s. Toward Wednesday morning, though, fog and areas of drizzle will develop. It'll dry out in the afternoon with partly sunny skies. Highs approach 80. And into Wednesday night, we go mostly cloudy skies again. And we're looking for some scattered showers after midnight. Lows back in the 60s. I'm Michael Prianti on 1450 WCTC.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Tuesday. Give me a call on the Ocean County College call-in line. It's 732-545-9282. That's 732-545-WCTC Ocean.edu. All right, let's take a look at Major League Baseball. We'll go over the standings. I'll give you who's leading in different categories. We'll talk about the trade deadline, and we're about to hit June. What is it, the 29th today? We're going to hit June. Now teams starting to not, quote-unquote, make their move right now, but they're starting to find an identity. Each team in Major League Baseball is starting to establish what they're known for, what their identity is. So that's what you're seeing right now, and it should be a terrific summer with pennant races because we got a lot of good teams in Major League Baseball. Let's take a look quickly. In the American League East, you've got Boston with a 1.5 game lead over the Yankees, followed by Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is, I'm sorry, they're 2 games, the Yankees are 2 games back, and Tampa Bay's 10 back. And Tampa Bay, even though they're 10 back, they're still going to make a run. They always do a little something there late July and into August. Followed by Toronto's 12 back and the lowly Baltimore Orioles. Who's going to get Machado? And, if I'm the Orioles, I'm not trading Machado at the deadline, and I'll tell you why. Because you're not going to get equal value for the guy. You're just not. I'd rather, is he a free agent next? Is he totally a free agent now? Yes. Then I guess they're going to have to. And if they lose him, they get a draft pick, right? They get, some kind of compensation. But, man, every team, there's a lot of teams, a lot of good teams that need a third baseman, too. So, and one of them happens to be the Atlanta Braves, I believe. All right. So, anyway, in the Central, in the American League, you got Cleveland. They got a 3.5 game lead on Detroit and on Minnesota. That's a good division. I see that Kansas City is starting to play a little bit better. They're 10 back, and the White Sox are 10.5 back. Now, this is a real juicy division. In the American League West, Houston has a 1 game lead over Seattle. Boy, I bet you Seattle would like to have Robinson Cano right about now. Followed by the Angels that are, the Angels are already 5.5 back. What happened? Boy, last week I didn't think it was like that. Followed by Oakland 6.5 back, and the Texas Rangers are at 13.5 back. And speaking of the Texas Rangers, who's going to get Cole Hamels? That's what I want to know, because they're trading him. They're trading him. Supposedly the Yankees are involved, and
I'll take him.
Yeah, I know you'll take him, especially since he shut you guys down last week. I know I've heard rumors the Atlanta Braves are involved. I've heard the Philadelphia Phillies are involved. And if you're Texas, it's not a matter about playing footsie with your old former team, Philadelphia and stuff. They're going to go with the best package possible. So, and you know who else may get traded? The shortstop, Dave. What's his nim? Andrus or whatever? Yeah, he's good shortstop. He could get traded, too, to a team that needs one. So, kind of interesting. He was in the Mark Teixeira trade when Atlanta sent Teixeira, sent a whole bunch of players to Texas for Teixeira, and it didn't work out. They got the shortstop, and there were some other players in that deal. It was John Schuerholz's worst move as an Atlanta Brave when he made that trade for Mark Teixeira, who later was traded for some average first baseman to the California Angels. But he was a great career that guy had. Anyway, so let's take a look at the National League. The Atlanta Braves have a half-game lead over Washington. And if you notice, I said Washington, not Philadelphia. Here come the Nationals. They're going to, I believe the second baseman's going to be back. What's his name, Dave? I can't remember his name. What's their second baseman's name? Guy played for the Mets. The guy who kills the Mets for Washington. Murphy. He's supposed to be back soon. They're starting to get some pitching back, some players back. So Washington's going to make a run, and obviously they have Bryce Harper. So Atlanta half-game lead over Washington, followed by Philadelphia game back. The Mets are 4 games back, and the Miami Marlins are 11 back. In the National League Central, Milwaukee has a 4.5 game lead on the Cubs, and I got to tell you, last year I picked Milwaukee. It didn't work out, but they were in it all year. This year I picked Milwaukee, and right now they got a 4.5 game lead on the Cubs. Let's see what they got on St. Louis. On St. Louis, they got a 5 game lead. On Pittsburgh, they got it. What happened to Pittsburgh? They were playing well for a while. They're 6 back. In Cincinnati, the lowly Reds are 16 back. In the National League West, the Colorado Rockies have a 1.5 game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks, followed by the Dodgers, who are 3.5 back. Oh, San Francisco's behind the Dodgers now. How about that? They're 4 back, and followed by San Diego, 7.5 back. Let me give you the leaders in baseball. You've got in the American League, Mookie Betts still leads the American League with a .361 average. He also leads the American League with home runs with 17. Machado in Baltimore has 44 RBIs. Mookie Betts also leads I think he's the MVP right now. Mookie Betts already has 50 runs scored. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves' Nick Markakis leads the league with a .344 average, followed by Bryce Harper, who has 15 home runs to lead the National League. Ed Sierras of the Reds has 40 RBIs. He'll get traded. And Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves, their second baseman, has 45 runs scored. In the American League of Pitching, Luis Severino has 7. Garrett Cole has 101 strikeouts. Verlander with an amazing 1.08 ERA. And the saves, Edwin Diaz has 18 of those. In the National League, Max Scherzer still leads the way with 8 wins. He also leads the league in strikeouts in the National League with 108. Followed by, how about this? This is where I feel so bad for the guy, and the Mets are in a tough spot here. Jacob deGrom leads the National League with a 1.54 ERA. He doesn't get any run support. He'll leave a game winning or tied and not win the game. The bullpen always doesn't come through for him, or they don't give him enough runs. And Wade Davis of the Rockies. Now, the interesting thing is, now the Mets starting, now you got the other guy went on the DL today. I'm trying to think of his name, the other pitcher for the Mets. Syndergaard went on the DL today. Are the Mets going to find themselves, they're an older team, obviously. We're not going to beat around the bush here. Are they in a position to, or are they possibly thinking, because you can get a lot for them, for trading this guy deGrom? Because a frontline team obviously would probably spend a lot of prospects, money, whatever it took to get him. But the Mets are in a scenario is you're going to trade your best pitcher. He's still young. He could still produce for you in future years. That's a tough scenario. And the Mets they're not winning a division. They don't have enough talent. But, that's a really and you feel bad for them, actually, because they had all these pitchers, deGrom, with Harvey, and it ended up blowing up. A lot of it ended up blowing up physically because they got physically hurt, but also the media just made these guys out to be, and I'll use it because I can, they were not the Atlanta Braves of the 90s. Let's make that very clear. And some of the writers even made a comparison, which is unbelievable. Yeah, one of those guys is a Greg Maddux. Come on, wake up. Gosh. So anyway, so that's a look at the what's happening in baseball. We'll see who's going to get this some trades and who's going to be a valuable guy down the stretch to acquire. It's just going to be great. Come July 31st is when that trading baseball deadline. Don't forget, you can make a trade in August also by August 31st, but you got to clear waivers to do that. So anyway, looks like we're coming to the end of the show this week. We'll talk to you Thursday from our sister station. As always, I hope your team wins. I want to thank Dave Reese behind the glass and making it happen. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank our callers. And I especially want to thank you, the listeners. You've been listening to Talking Sports on a Tuesday. I'm John Friedman. Have a great rest of the week, everybody.
This is the home of Somerset Patriots baseball. The voice of Central Jersey. 1450 WCTC, New Brunswick. A Beasley Media Group station.
Somerset Patriot Baseball.
The new Talk Radio 1450 WCTC and WCTCAM.com. The voice of Central Jersey sports presents all the action.
What's that?
Sports Mecca.
Oh, that was a good show, by the way. I was smooth today.
Good evening and welcome to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where today the Somerset Patriots take on the Lancaster Barnstormers for the first of a 4-game series. National anthem currently going on, so we'll send it back to the studio. But when we come back, we'll have the first pitch.